What is up, freaks? It's your boy Marty Bent here for another edition of Rabbit Hole Recap. A day late this week. Sorry, freaks. Matt was traveling the world.
It's because Alex Svetsky complained of all the podcast content, so he delayed it for you guys.
He was complaining?
Yeah, I saw him complaining on Twitter. No, yeah, a lot of traveling, and I wanted to get back up to speed with things before we jump back into RHR.
Before we jump into RHR, let's talk about why you were traveling, if you're allowed to elaborate.
I think I am a little bit, but I was in San Francisco. I was helping out with the Human Rights Foundation. They had like this amazing group of, I guess I call them fellows, but they're activists from all these different countries. And we gave them like a Bitcoin 101 workshop. And it was like it was truly humbling. Like they were amazing people.
Yeah, it sounded like an incredible event, Alex, really trying to get the technology out there. Were they receptive?
They were very receptive. I mean, a lot of them have like bank accounts frozen. Their communications are watched. I mean, like I can't, like, we talk about, financial censorship all the time. Like these people live it. And they're fighters, and it's really impressive. And so, I mean, it wasn't the value to them was obvious to begin with, I think. And we like showed them like the best practices, like as a beginner. We were walking them through using Green Wallet with Tor. They all got given Ledger wallets. But like doing it in a responsible way, it's just really.
Yeah, you said it highlighted some pain points.
Oh my God, man. It's just really so frustrating. There's so much nuance and there's so many different privacy concerns. Like the way, like privacy there was two, right? It was spending Bitcoin. Like how do they actually use it once they have it? And it was all the different privacy trade-offs and to be aware of them and how they could shoot themselves in the foot. So like basically my main pitch was to just use cash as much as possible. But the idea was like, if you can't use cash, mainly like donations from abroad, Bitcoin is really well suited for that. And I think specifically BTC Pay is really well suited for that. But this was like, how do you going out to the BTC Pay conversation takes up a whole nother level. And I think BTC Pay will get even easier to use in like 6 months, 7 months. So hopefully it'll be like an ongoing discussion. But like stuff like, yeah, the privacy I think was like, so that was the second biggest concern. I mean, how do you explain to someone who has never used Bitcoin before, just go from 0 to 60 all the way that quickly?
Yeah.
So we just tried to make them aware of as many risks as possible. Basically the entry into the discussion, not to like just jump all in.
Yeah.
But then the other thing to keep in mind is like these people, like they need to use it in real situations. They have individual threat models, right? So for some of them, they didn't care like if the U.S. government could spy on it, as long as their local government couldn't. So you have to like localize things. And it was a very humbling experience. I mean, this is, I think, why I think Bitcoin is so powerful, right? So it's just really amazing to like be there and be a part of that.
Yeah, it sounded like a great event. Yeah. Again, shout out to Alex for putting that together.
Yeah, Alex Gladstein.
And you for
Human
traveling.
Rights Foundation.
And spending your time to help educate.
And Square hosted.
Shout out to Square as well. Yeah. Speaking of Square, have you freaks know about the Cash App? As you know, Cash App is the simplest way to send and save money, and now it's the simplest way to try to grow your money. Introducing Cash App Investing. Unlike investing tools that only let you buy entire shares of a stock, Cash App is letting you instantly invest as little or as much as you want. This way, when you want your favorite company's stock and it's just a little too expensive, you can still own as little as $1 of that stock. And because Cash App is directly connected to your bank account, there are no 4 to 5 day waiting periods for inbound transfers, so you can start investing today. And guess what? You can still stack sats, motherfuckers. All right? If you don't want to stack stocks, you don't have to. The option is there. Brokerage services are provided by Cash App Investing, a subsidiary of Square, member SIPC. And as always, use the code STACKINGSATS. That's one word, STACKINGSATS. You're going to get $10. And Cash App is going to send $10 to our good friends at Al's Lacrosse. All right. Use the code SackingSats.
And that wasn't planned. Marty just threw that in there.
Yeah, I had to use the segue when you threw it there.
Yeah.
Shout out to Square for hosting that event. We had to get it out of the way.
I know you did it. It was impressive.
You know what else we have to get out of the way? This one.
There you go.
This episode's also brought to you by Unchained Capital, our good friends at Unchained Capital, providing financial services dedicated for Bitcoiners. All right, they're helping you secure your Bitcoin with their multi-sig quorum, their Vault program. You can engage in a multi-sig quorum with Unchained. They will hold one key for you. You can hold two or more. You can N of them. You can get into complex signature schemes with them. And if you ever need them to sign for you, they are there for you. But you don't need them. You can sign it yourself and move it off. On top of that, they have their loan program. If you don't want to sell your Bitcoin, you can take out a US dollar loan with Bitcoin as collateral. So you can hold on to that Bitcoin while you get some liquidity. And then on top of that, our good friends at Unchained are beast in the open source realm, working on things like Caravan, which open sources their multi-sig quorum, so you can make it yourself without them, Slip 39, and Hermit. And on top of that, they just released it this week. They updated Caravan with some new UX flows. So go check that out. www.unchained-capital.com. Unchained-capital.com. Sorry for throwing that on you. We're just going to stare at each other now.
Do we have another ad?
No, that was it.
Okay, awesome. Let's go.
Let's go.
I'm ready now.
We're ready now. Before we hop into the topics of the day, let's pull up Clark Moody's stats here. The price.
Was that bitcoin.clarkmoody.com?
Bitcoin.clarkmoody.com/dashboard. Right now we're looking at a price of $8,907. A little bit of a pump this week. We're at block height 613,307. We had a difficulty adjustment this week, and the difficulty adjusted 7.1% upwards, and we're 1,573 blocks away from the next adjustment.
And what's the Tor percentage?
Tor percentage right now is 38.5% of the Lightning Network nodes.
It's gone down slightly.
Yes, I believe it was around 40 last week.
Yeah. Keep an eye on it, freaks. Keep an eye on it.
Yeah, well, it's a good segue into what will now be our first topic. The team at BitMEX Research dropped a research piece on Sunday, I believe, about the Lightning Network, and they found that there were over 60,000 non-cooperative channel closures, and what this led them to believe is that there are a lot more private channels than people may know at right now.
Because it just seemed too high if it was only the public channels that were doing it.
Yes, that's the gist of it. So BitMEX Research has a very extensive series on the Lightning Network. This was part 6 of them doing this research. So the main findings that the number of Lightning Network non-cooperative channel closures in Bitcoin's history is over 60,000. Over 1,000 Bitcoin has been spent in non-cooperative channel closure transactions. And again, the conclusion that is coming out of this research is that there are a lot of private channels, apparently.
It's good to see, right? This is something we've speculated about for a while. A lot of the mobile apps default to private channels. It is kind of interesting. Do they talk about? I didn't really read this. Do they talk about the fact that why are so many people doing cooperative? Why aren't they doing cooperative closes? Why are they doing forced closes?
I think the reason was because I don't know. You can't really know, right? I would imagine it's just because people don't really communicate with the other people they're open channels with.
Yeah, I mean, if they're both online, it should be a cooperative close.
Yeah.
You just press the button.
Okay, so
maybe it's a mobile app issue. I don't know.
Analysis is challenging. It's difficult to tell with absolute certainty if these are Lightning transactions. However, it is possible to directly identify these transactions as Lightning with a reasonable degree of certainty. The transaction may be characterized as a non-cooperative closure, more accurately when the output of the transaction is redeemed during the sweeping of the funds following a channel closure.
So all Lightning channel open and closes are 2 of 2 multi-sig transactions, but you can more clearly see the non-cooperative closes, then you can.
Yeah, so in the event of a non-cooperative channel closure, the transaction can potentially be followed by 3 types of scenarios, 2 of which represent a sweep transaction using Bitcoin's op-if script. Identifying these op-if sweep transactions with a relatively high degree of certainty is possible by not analyzing the blockchain.
So it's easier to track. They know they're tracking that, so they extrapolate. Because I was wondering why no one had been doing 2 of 2 multi-sig. And basically tracking private channels that way. But I guess there are like a decent amount of other users using 2 of 2 multisig. I mean, at least
Blockstream.
Green Wallet is. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know how many people actually use. Yeah. Maybe.
Yeah, there's some good diagrams in there too. We're gonna link.
BitMEX research, great as always.
Yeah, they actually had another research piece that we don't have on the list. It was actually a guest post by John Attack, I believe, who's a Bitcoin maintainer, talking about the Bitcoin's build systems becoming more efficient over time, and the time it takes for Bitcoin to compile its build system is been cut down significantly.
That was a great piece. I remember that piece.
Yeah.
The other thing to keep in mind is here, that Tor percentage is for public capacity that we were talking about earlier. So obviously all the private channels aren't included in that percentage. I assume, I don't know. Actually, I'm not going to make that assumption. I was going to make an assumption about how much private capacity is in Tor versus public. But all the mobile apps aren't, I don't think any of the mobile apps are using Tor, besides the ones that connect to a home node.
Yeah, Zap.
Besides the ones that connect to a home node, right?
Yeah.
Does Zap have a...
I don't know if it's default, but...
Does Zap have... Can you just run a Lightning wallet on your phone? Or do you need to connect to a home node?
Pretty sure you need to connect to a home node.
I don't know.
Pretty sure.
But I know like Async, like Phoenix, Breeze, none of them are using Tor, but they're all using private channels.
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah.
I imagine it would just be too hard to run Tor over your phone.
No, but I mean, Green Wallet runs Tor over your phone. Zap runs Tor over your phone. Zeus runs Tor over your phone. But Zap and Zeus are connecting to a home node.
Yes.
And Green Wallet isn't Lightning.
So is it technically running over your phone, or is it running on your node? And your phone's just communicating.
It's just using Tor to connect to your node.
Oh, okay. There we go. That's right.
Green Wallet is using Tor to connect to their node.
Okay.
Blockstream's node.
All right. Speaking of Tor, while we're on it, the Tor browser 9.0.4 has been released. What can we expect with this?
It was like a critical security fix. That's why I put it in there. Make sure you guys update. Do you ever use Tor browser?
I'm going to be honest here, not too often.
I feel like it's a good time to shill it. It's come a long way. It works pretty fucking well. It's not, it's not going to be good for any kind of video streaming or any kind of high bandwidth thing, but it's just like a pretty great overall browser.
Yeah.
It's got all the blocking built in, and it's got the Tor built in.
You can speak to this more than I can.
I mean, like, of course, like, don't assume it's perfectly private, but it's a huge improvement. Yeah. And especially, like, depends on the computer you're running it on. If you're running on Windows, you're running on Mac, you don't know what's going on there. You fuck up with your Linux.
Yeah.
Just there's always concerns, but
doesn't it come with Tails out of the box?
Yeah, Tails is the best way to do it, right?
Yeah.
But like for everyday browsing, you're not gonna boot up Tails. Like it's really nice that Tor browser. You could just be using a Mac and you can have Tor browser, and you open it up and that's probably as private as you're gonna get on your Mac, right?
Yeah.
It's a nice little.
So that's our Tor browser shill.
Nice little plug. Check it out.
A more somber topic, but one we feel compelled to talk about. We lost a very good Bitcoiner this week, Tomas Bloomer. He's been working on Bitcoin's Rust implementation since 2012. He's also been working on a lot of SPV wallet code bases as well for Bitcoin, built in Rust, I believe, as well. And he fought till the end. His last tweet was on Bitcoin's birthday, and it was in the midst of when he was at the tail end of his fight with cancer, his battle with cancer. And fuck, man, this is a tough loss. And Tomas is an example of somebody who thought Bitcoin was bigger than himself and felt compelled to work for it. And his last tweet, and we'll share that in the show notes as well, was basically him showing gratitude for being able to work on the project, which was that being the last message that he sent to the world on the internet, is pretty powerful.
Yeah, I never met Tomas, but I was always a fan of his work, appreciate him so much, and this one really hit me hard. I mean, I had no idea he was, fuck cancer, man.
Yeah, I had no idea. Yeah, I'd never met Tomas at all, but yet always somebody I've been following him on Twitter for quite a while now.
Exactly.
That came out of nowhere. I was not expecting that.
It's just always, a reminder that you gotta, appreciate everything you have,
Yeah, you only got one life, freaks. Enjoy it. Enjoy it.
Don't be an asshole.
Make it worthwhile. Hold the door. Rest in peace, Tomas. We're thinking of you today. Hard to segue out of that one.
We could just do a Zeus update.
Yeah, let's just do that.
Zeus released its newest version, so go update if you use Zeus on your phone. And it's also on iPhone now. I don't know when that happened, but it is on iPhone now.
Yeah.
So you have to do test flight to get it on iPhone.
Yeah, and Evan has provided the dev signature as well. So if you want to check that before you download, make sure you're getting it from the right repository.
I really appreciate how he always. How he posts it is he posts it very effectively. He's got, here's my APK and here's the signature.
Yeah. So go check that out if you're running Zeus. Definitely upgrade. Test it out. Let Evan and team working on that know. Need distributed team. If you have any PRs or questions or notes or anything. Feedback. Important. I had a very good discussion with Jeremy Rubin yesterday about developing for this stuff. And it's for us non-developers, it can be more frustrating at times than I think we really realize.
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. I'm almost done with the Jamal episode on Polar, but that one's great. I think those 2 episodes, really bummed I didn't get to sit in on those. I'm really excited to listen.
Yeah, we wanted you here. You were traveling, man.
Yeah, the nice thing about podcasts is, it's like you are sitting in the room.
Yeah.
But I love Jamal. I've never met Jeremy.
Neither have I until yesterday, and it was somebody else I've been following on Twitter for years now, and exceeded my expectations of person.
Awesome.
Consummate professional.
Pumped to listen.
And this was pretty cool. This next topic, it got demoed at BitDevs last week, an instant VPS powered by Lightning. Andre Nevis from the Zebido team demoed this at BitDevs, and it's cool. You can get a VPS stands for a virtual personal server. So if you're like an app developer and you want to not be building stuff on your computer, you can whip up a virtual server using the Lightning Network, 66 cents an hour, I believe. We bought 6 hours for, I believe, a couple thousand sats. I think it was 5,000 sats we paid for 6 hours or something like that.
Yeah, it just instantly pops up.
Yeah.
I mean, don't use it for anything.
Nothing critical. No critical apps or anything. Just if you want to test an idea and iterate real quickly. This will obviously be exposed on the web server that you're hosting it on. But if you don't want to overwhelm your computer with data, you can quickly spin up these personal servers in the cloud.
Yeah, it's VPS's private server.
Private server. Yeah. That's what it is.
But yeah, you can. It's like people might know it like DigitalOcean and stuff like that, or like AWS.
Yeah.
And this is also kind of similar to what Keto had.
Yes.
Launched.
Yes.
I dig it. It's a cool use of Lightning.
Yeah. So go check it out. bitclouds.sh.
But as you know, as we said, don't use it for anything critical or sensitive.
Yeah. Don't create wild software and put funds on it.
Because especially since they have easy commands to launch Bitcoin D and stuff like that.
Yeah. Yeah. So be careful with that. This was big news, in my opinion. I didn't write about it this week. Everybody else jumped on it, so I figured it was covered, but Liquid support has been brought to BTC Pay server.
Is this big news? I feel like it isn't big news.
I mean...
I was like, eh.
Right, if you're... So that was a big debate. Is it...
Who's using that?
Right, so if you're using Liquid and you're...
And what, you want to buy a cup of coffee?
You're in the Federation and you're okay with being KYC'd. And you
right, so Liquid's trust model is it's basically like Ripple without the token.
Yeah. It's just another option.
So it's like a big multi-sig, and you have to trust a plurality of the...
you have to trust that the Federation isn't going to fuck you or something.
Like a majority of the Federation is, like an overwhelming majority, I think.
Yeah.
Isn't going to screw you. Yeah, so if you already trust one of them, which is why it makes sense for exchange to exchange, I just feel like the whole BTC Pay thing was kind of just like they were able to add it into BTC Pay, so it's like good PR.
Well, so this
Like-
might be good for like liquid tether, right? Because that's the big.
Which so I'm gonna use like liquid.
No, you're not gonna
liquid
use it.
tether at the bodega.
But
to
that's
pay
been like
for
the
stuff.
big knock on Tether not coming to Liquid or Bitcoin, right? Is the lack of wallet options on the market, right? So this just provides another wallet option in my mind.
But like as a Bitcoin user, right?
I don't care. I'm not going to use it.
No, but I'm saying as a Bitcoin user, how is me and like so I with all this shit going on, I was like I already like kind of had my preconceived notions of Liquid. Like I said, like I think it'd be good for exchanges. The big bottleneck is like actually, to me, is like you can't go between chains without trusting a third party. Like you can go through SideShift AI or one of the exchanges, and SideShift doesn't do KYC. I guess Bitfinex doesn't do KYC, but they could, and they get your information. It's like Shapeshift. They're just swapping in and out. So in that case, like if you have to download Green Wallet to get like a Liquid wallet on your phone, and then you like send Lightning Bitcoin to SideShift, and then you get
Liquid Bitcoin?
well, you can send Lightning or Liquid,
LBTC?
and it's SideShift, so it's like Shapeshift. They're just taking it and sending you other shit, right? And then you can get Liquid Tether that way. Like, why wouldn't you just use like ERC20 Tether or something, or Tron Tether? Like, why do you need? What's the difference there? Is there a difference?
Again, the difference is for Tether specifically that within the Federation, if you're using Liquid Tether, which has confidential transactions, you can't be tracked when you're trading. But again, for this,
You can see the to and from address. You just can't.
you don't know what asset it is.
You see the amount or the asset type. You can't see the amount or the asset type.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's it. Yeah.
So it could be they could do some interesting things with like coin joins in there, but you'd have to be able to move large amounts of Bitcoin to and from the chain without KYC, and that doesn't seem like it's possible.
No, I don't think that's possible.
But if that ever became possible, then maybe Liquid could have some retail, usage. But besides that, I don't see. What's the flow here? Is someone like buying Tether on Bitfinex and then going shopping with it?
Yeah, so I guess that would be the flow. Like, if you want to use that Tether at a merchant that has BTC Pay and the wallet accessible, I guess the merchant would also have an account set up where they could liquidate that right away.
Or maybe it's the opposite. Maybe they expect the merchant to use Tether to like lock in some of their gains.
Yeah, maybe, potentially. Who knows? It's possible now. If they want to do it. I don't know how it's going to work.
Yeah, I really don't think it's like that big of a deal. And it definitely doesn't compete with Lightning.
No, they're two different. I mean,
Yeah.
that was a debate that popped up yesterday.
It definitely doesn't compete with Lightning
No,
at all.
they're two
It's not
different
even
risk
fucking
models.
close.
Two different risk models. But again, it's just they highlight. That's the other thing. It doesn't have to be one or the other. Like just you use whatever suits your needs at any given point in time.
Yeah, it's all opt-in. CoinJoin's opt-in.
Yeah.
Liquid's opt-in. Lightning's opt-in. Segwit's opt-in.
Yeah. It's all opt in here, freaks. Opt out of the system, opt into Bitcoin. Yeah.
But
So
also, you should use Lightning and you should use CoinJoin.
Yeah.
You should use Segwit.
yes, that as well.
And play around with Liquid if you want to play around with it. It's like I said, it's like I feel like it's Ripple without the token, and confidential transactions, which is dope.
Yeah, Ripple without it. The Ripple analogy's throwing me off right now.
Well, because Ripple, you don't need the token has nothing to do with the trust model.
Yeah, no.
It's the same idea. It's a federation.
Yeah.
But they just added the token in there to get rich, right? So Liquid is like basically the same exact trust model, but without the Ripple token sitting there just, minting money for shitcoiners.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I like
Right?
that. Yeah.
But then they also
Well, that's
they actually care about like privacy, and so they add confidential transactions.
Yeah. And it's just something I've been saying on this podcast since it started. Like, just from a design perspective, this seems like the right way to do it. Like, push the trade-offs to higher layers, right? And that's what's happening. Some people don't like it. Some people do like it. Again, it's all opt-in. You don't have to use it if you don't want to. And I think the framing of liquid or lightning is a bad framing.
Yeah. They don't compete.
Yeah.
There's no competition there.
Yeah. This was something I had no fucking idea about, and this shocked me. Kashmir hasn't had internet for 170 plus days.
We haven't talked about this at all. I discovered it this week, so I was like, got to put that one in there. We definitely need to talk about it.
This is fucked. Yeah. So for you freaks that don't know, and I'm not an expert on the Kashmir.
Well, it's because Modi's like fucking cracking down like a motherfucker.
Yeah. So Kashmir has been a very tumultuous area.
Oh yeah,
in India, there's like water wars going on down there. It's
India versus Pakistan,
yes.
Like ever since the split.
Yes, and they meet at the border and have like the military marches every day, and it's very, very like a lot of people worry about the U.S. and Russia engaging in nuclear war, but a lot of people in the know actually freak out more about India versus Pakistan being the incite of nuclear war potentially, but. Yeah, apparently Kashmir hasn't had internet for 170 days. What the fuck? How's this not being talked about?
So I guess, what is it? A heavy Muslim population in Kashmir that Modi's cracking down on, and part of that has been landline, cell phone access, and internet.
Yeah. So
they say it's the longest ever in a quote unquote democracy, and the reason it doesn't get reported is because Modi's our ally.
It's fucked,
right?
Man. So apparently the government has gradually restored landlines and SMS services were restored New Year's Eve. But 7 million Kashmiris still do not have online access, and the longest internet shutdown ever imposed on a democracy, like you just said.
And keep in mind, New Year's was when they restored it. That was like 150 days.
Yeah.
That's still not good. That's fucked, man.
Yeah.
That's why it's so important. Like all these other infrastructure projects, like mesh nets and using satellites and
yeah, it's actually not on the list, but somebody
Google's blimps.
I saw the Locamesh. They've been working on that.
Yeah, they have it in a nice case now.
Yeah.
You saw it naked in San Francisco, right?
Yeah. So now you can plug it. So the Locamesh devices you can plug into internet connected computers and contribute, right? Contribute to the mesh network.
Yeah, or you can receive from it.
Yeah. So they're being worked on, but so this is an instance I
don't think they've actually started. At least I don't think they started like selling them or anything.
No, I don't think so either. They're working on it, but it's getting closer, it seems. But again, this Kashmir instance in Iran a few months earlier,
Hong
Kong really highlight the need for alternative transaction relay networks. Fuck, man. I did not know Kashmir was in the dark almost half a year at this point.
Yeah, it's been effective, right? Because those people don't have communication out.
Yeah. I guess we should be talking more about Kashmir.
Yep. Well, starts today.
Yeah. Samurai Wallet. This was a good announcement. OXT Research. So they got a new publication coming out.
And they launched the first one,
mm-hmm.
and they hired Ergo.
Yeah. So Ergo, the first one they did was Ergo's Plus Token.
But he did it. It's like prettier and better than ever.
Yeah, it's like a 30-page.
It's like proper.
Yeah.
It's very nice.
Yeah.
It's his best work yet.
Yeah.
Everyone should give him a follow, and they should go check out. What is it? Research.oxt.me. OXT.me.
Yes, and if you're not using OXT.me, it's one of my favorite block explorers. It's very visually pleasing, but that's not the main reason to use it. Like, remember earlier this week, there was like a huge $1 billion transaction. Everybody's freaking out. OXT, Loren has done such a good job with this block explorer. I was able to like go to OXT.me, check the transaction, and immediately see that it was Bitfinex wallet. Like,
yeah, it does like light chain analysis.
Yeah.
And then they have a tool where that's what Ergo uses, the tool to plot transactions going through. So they basically, between that, they have that, and they have KYCP.org.
I believe so, yes.
And those two together are like the first step we've seen where regular users are getting some of the tools that the corporate users are using, like the chain analysis tools and stuff. And I think it's really important so we can level the playing field, so you know what exactly you're exposing. And I think what also is really cool about this space is like historically the Blockstream guys and the Samurai guys have always had beef, and my two favorite sets of block explorers are Blockstream.info and oxt.me/KYCP. So that's Samurai and Blockstream. And then my two favorite on-chain wallets are Blockstream Green and Samurai Wallet. And it's just so like the competition like really just helps the end user.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and this, I'm very excited to see what they put out with this research project. More content from the people building these privacy tools.
Yeah, because Blockstream.info also does some light chain analysis.
Yeah, so
it doesn't take it as fully to the level as OXT.
I like Blockstream.
But it's clean. It's like almost like what they do show you is like a little bit cleaner.
Yeah, Blockstream helps show you if you overspent, how much you saved.
Or if you did a self-transfer.
Yeah.
Like it knows right away like you did a self-transfer.
Yeah. So Block Explorer's getting more.
And the reason it knows the self-transfer, by the way, is because if there's no change, if you like send all, self-transfer.
Yeah. It's a heuristic.
Yeah. Even though Andrew was saying that Bitcoin Core tries to send all, right? Like it leaves no change.
Yes.
So then it looks like a self-transfer.
Interesting. And then let's just stay on Samurai while we're on it right now. Like Whirlpool, other people are freaking out about like the Samurai having your data on their servers. Like Ronin Dojo's out there now.
Oh, we should talk about this.
Use Dojo. Like if you are going to use Whirlpool, you should probably be using Dojo if you don't want to trust Samurai.
Yeah, I mean, Dojo is getting easier to use. It's now on MyNode, which is fantastic. MyNode like lets you can set up like all these different services and the total price with hardware and stuff. You buy the hardware like a Raspberry Pi 4 and an SSD and like cute little cases for them, so you can like design them how you want to design them, and then you install the MyNode software, and then you can pick which software packages you put on it. So you can put on stuff like BTC Pay, mempool.space, so you can view the mempool locally instead of hitting someone else, Block Explorer, Electrum Server, and now Samurai and Dojo, and then you simply pair it with your Dojo. And what's nice here is you could even have a friend pair with your Dojo. They're trusting you, but it's a different trust model than necessarily trusting Samurai with the public keys. Now, there is an argument that if there's users that aren't using Dojo and they're in the mix with you and Samurai knows their pub keys, then they can, by process of elimination, hurt regular Dojo users. So the talk back and forth is like, do you have full Dojo pools, or do you allow non-Dojo users in? And one of the reasons why it's so important to give non-Dojo users access is because they're going to release mobile mixing. I'm part of the beta right now, and it's already like it's already pretty slick. And like the whole idea is like you just like press mix on your phone and it mixes, right? Which will be a lot of use to a lot of people. And there is a trust model there where you're trusting Samurai to a degree. I mean, if you're not using Dojo, you're trusting them completely. You might not be giving them your IP address if you use Tor, but you're still trusting them with like the on-chain data. But at least you're protecting yourself from everyone else. And those light users will provide more liquidity to the whole system. And then last but not least, the argument, which I pretty much agree with now, is Samurai's argument, is that the trust model, even if you're using Dojo, shouldn't be like, if you're trying to protect, if Samurai's a bad actor, like it's probably not going to help you anyway. And that's because, at least in a low miner fee environment, the main cost to Sybil the mixes is the Samurai fee.
The first TX0 fee, right?
Right. Samurai doesn't have to pay that fee if they want to Sybil the mixes. Wasabi doesn't have to pay that fee if they want to Sybil the mixes, right? Because they're just paying it to themselves. But
they would still have to make. They might not technically pay for it, but they still have to make a fee transaction, right, to make it look
to themselves. Yeah. But they would just be paying themselves, and because miner fees are so low, it would be negligible cost to them to do it. And especially in like 5-person mixes, right? You could Sybil those for minimal cost at least. Mm-hmm. So like the threat model really shouldn't be, with dojo only or with non-dojo, it's probably pretty much the same threat model for the dojo users. Because it is a lot easier to pull XPubs than it is to, presumably.
So we're back to trusting Samurai?
No, I think everyone should use dojo, but I think like there is, like if either coordinator team wants to be malicious here, I think like they could probably glean at least a good chunk of information, just because they could Sybil the mixes, right? Like that's the main concern with all these schemes is Sibling the mixes. And even at these low volumes, like an outside actor can Sybil the mixes.
Yeah, it's true.
Right? That's why you need more liquidity. That's why Plus Token accidentally Sybiled the mixes.
Yeah, idiots.
Just from like poor practice.
Yeah.
Which is one of the reasons why liquidity going up is important. And so keep in mind here, liquidity helps a lot in this situation, right? Because if you have, even if they're trying to Sybil the mixes, if you get in a couple mixes in there where they don't have enough parties, then that's why remixing is so important. And that's why things like pay join and stuff, and also like person-to-person coin joins. So like with Samurai, they have the tools afterwards where you can do a coin join either with the recipient or with like just a friend. And if you do those, Samurai's not a party to those transactions, right? Mm-hmm. So when you mix and match the different tools, you can get some more better assurances, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Anyway, I'm really bullish on Whirlpool right now. I'm sure all the listeners have figured that out. I think that the simplicity of it makes it way more reasonable for most people to use. Yeah. Like I was like thinking through, like you could have a situation. Look, ideally it's always better to buy with cash, buy no KYC. Like if you possibly can, if you can earn without KYC, like that's always better. But most people, if you're going to get if you're trying to buy a large amount of Bitcoin or like trying to dollar cost average, a decent amount of Bitcoin, you're going to have to go through KYC. And if you go through KYC, Samurai could be part of that flow, where you minimize at least the amount of data that these companies have. I was thinking the other day, like you could have a service like GetBidder or something. And then, or like Bull Bitcoin, you have like a dedicated XPub that you have a dedicated Samurai wallet that's just your onboarding wallet, right? And you give the premix XPub to GetBidder, and then every time it DCAs, it goes into the premix.
And the fee paid is the TX0 fee.
No.
No?
I'm not even going that far. Like that would take more Samurai. That would have to be like an actual partnership, but you could just give them the premix XPub. Right, to GetBidder, and GetBidder can generate a new address every time, just automatically deposit it into your Samurai wallet, and you press mix. And then the opposite side, you have the post mix tools, and that's and GetBidder can't see the post mix XPub; they can only see the premix XPub.
Yeah.
So GetBidder can't follow it. The user is just doing very basic
UX.
The UX flow is a lot. That's a huge improvement.
Yeah. Yeah. What are your thoughts on Wasabi these days?
I still think I'm not of the type that says that Wasabi is like completely broken. I'm frustrated with a lot of the decisions they've been making lately, and I just think Samurai is a better tool now. I think with Wasabi, the big thing is you gotta definitely remix, and the UX doesn't incentivize that at all. Like even like their default anon set, which. Like my issues with Wasabi is I shouldn't have to, when I'm trying to teach people how to use it, tell them like 3 things they need to change and or keep in mind before they use the software, right?
Yeah.
So I have to tell them to increase the default anon set so it remixes. Alone, the fees are already just making it so people are less likely to do it. And then when you go to the manual coin control, which I really like the whole labeling that they have there. Looks like Samurai should add something similar to that. They do have labeling, but it's a little bit more difficult to use. They'd have a select all button that you should never click. Why? There's no situation where anyone should click the select all button and combine all their transactions. So when you have those two things together, and I just really like the Whirlpool transaction zero setup, where it's just like the daisy chains of coin joins. It seems like a better setup, but I still like have a lot of respect for the Wasabi guys,
yeah, it seems like they're working to improve it pretty intently, and they're actually got a good campaign going on right now because Bitcoin Core and Wasabi Wallet they don't get past antivirus software.
That's what I'm saying. Is that like a good campaign? That seems like a waste of time to me.
Is it? Well, for Wasabi maybe, but for Bitcoin Core, no, I don't think.
I mean, do we really care about stuff that's running on Windows with like antivirus software installed? Because like that's what the campaign's for.
Maybe. I don't know.
It just seems like a waste of time.
Yeah, we'll see.
Like, I don't really think anyone should probably be using Wasabi on Windows, right?
That's a good point.
Like what is it? We're talking about like how private software is, and then.
Yeah, that's a good point.
I mean, but then you do have that same issue with Samurai, like using it on Android, right? So there's like all these different trust models to keep in mind. I like that there's two options. And obviously the main advantage on Wasabi is you don't need an Android phone. But I think you just buy an Android phone just for, you want to go like super, super hardcore, you buy a Pixel and you install graphene on it and then you run Whirlpool on that.
Yeah.
That plus Dojo, if you do like a Ronin Dojo, Raspberry Pi kit, that's like what, another $200. And then, so 200 plus 300 is like $500, and you get like a pretty great setup that like friends can pair to if they want to use it.
Yeah. Be aware of the trade-offs. Be aware of the nuance. This is something we're trying. I mean, you keep up with this more than I do. But it seems like the coin join space is evolving in the right direction, but at a very quick pace.
I also don't like that the Wasabi guys put their fees. They still have the fixed fee address.
Fixed fee address is
that one's
the biggest,
pissing me off.
That's
like,
the biggest.
Fucking like crazy. And then they take their fixed fee. They take the money they get in the fixed fee, and then they put it into the mix. And then every user is paying per the Anon set. So they're paying for the amount of people, and so you pay for them to remix their fixed fee bullshit.
Interesting.
Ridiculous.
Did not realize that. Yeah. I think if they fix that, it's a lot better because it's a lot of taint, that fee address.
Yeah. Low-hanging fruit. Frustration.
Low-hanging fruit. Away from Bitcoin, back to the scary world of tech security. Apple, not as safe as you think it is. The FBI was able to use a hacking device called a Gray Key to get in and draw data from an Apple iPhone 11 Pro Max, which was owned by Baris Ali Koch.
Which is the newest one.
Yes, it's the newest model. And the FBI is still begging Apple to let them...
Well, no, so what they're using is... So the point is that the Pensacola, Florida shooting that happened at the military base, they got an iPhone in that.
Yes.
And they got two iPhones, and they're older iPhones. And the older iPhones have known vulnerabilities to get in them. We already knew that the FBI could get into the older ones. But if they can get into the newest one, they definitely can get into the older ones.
Yes.
But they still want Apple to give them a back door into it, just because
they're posturing like they don't have it.
It's like a classic use of like you use a terrorist attack to try and permanently encroach on everyone's freedoms.
Patriot.
And I think like the freaks understand, like with encryption, there's no such thing as a safe backdoor. Because if one person can get into it, then it'll either leak or be intentionally shared, or someone will figure it out and other people can get into it. No one's private in that situation. So in order for the good people to be private, like everyone needs to have that privacy.
Yeah. No, and it's scary, man. We're taught that Apple's the creme de la creme of modern day privacy tech. That was their huge ad campaign recently.
I think I am extremely suspicious
skeptical
of that whole positioning.
Yeah.
They're just trying to like lure people into complacency. But then also like at the same time, we don't know certain details about which phones they can get into or not. Like I wonder if they could get into an iPhone that had like the newest iPhone that had the 10 tries it wipes option enabled, which isn't enabled by default, curiously, right? And like instead of a PIN, like a long ass password, like a 30-digit password. Like I wonder if they could get into that iPhone. I think you should assume they probably can. Apple immediately handed over all the iCloud data, so keep that in mind. But
yeah,
it's interesting.
Yeah, I mean, if you're using like the face recognition stuff too, you're fucked already if they get your phone.
They can just, or fingerprint.
Yeah.
That's not constitutionally protected.
Yeah.
Only a PIN or password is, and obviously password's way better. I mean, but kudos to Apple. They do have, they put the feature on their phones before they put it on like at least the Samsungs and stuff. The feature that automatically turns off the biometric. Mm-hmm. So like if you have biometric and you get like pulled over by police or something, you can like press the two buttons together and it makes the password have to be entered.
Yeah.
So like little things like that, but then at the same time, it's closed source, biggest company in America, probably complicit in all this shit.
And they're bigger than Amazon.
But then, you know, maybe like, so what's your threat model? Like if you don't care about the U.S. government spy on you, which I think you should, everyone should, but if you don't, like maybe Apple's a good privacy purchase, right?
Yeah.
But really, I'm really excited about graphene right now on Android, and I have to, I'm going to pick up a Pixel and I'm going to
Graphene?
Yeah, it's like a special OS that's privacy focused.
Okay.
Doesn't have like any Google services or anything on it.
Boss.
So you like buy a Pixel for $300 and then you
load it up.
Yeah.
Similar to Tails or something like that.
Well, Tails is not persistent, so Tails isn't supposed to like remember where you left off. It's
Okay.
just supposed to wipe.
All right.
This is more like a daily driver. I'd be like installing like Ubuntu on your computer or something.
Yeah. So beware, Apple. The feds might be able to get into your shit if you don't have good passwords and wiping practices.
No, and I'm just pissed off that they just keep. It's like this whole encryption backdoor thing. They're just going to keep trying forever.
Yeah, I mean,
like the encryption war has never ended.
William Barr, the Attorney General, came out months ago and said he wants backdoors.
Yeah. And he's been jumping on it with this new case a lot recently.
Don't let it happen, freaks. Stand up and fight for your rights. Speaking of that, this isn't on the list either. You see what's going on in Virginia?
I saw like a clip of a sheriff.
Yeah, sheriff. Yeah, well, I think that was in North Carolina. A sheriff from North Carolina saying that they would be a sanctuary city for any "quote unquote" Virginia felons who wanted to come exercise their Second Amendment rights in North Carolina.
Wait, so did Virginia ban guns or something?
They're trying to, and so there's a huge march this weekend, I believe, by gun owners on the Capitol, and the governor has issued a state of emergency based off of insights that people want to do nefarious things at this get-together. But yeah, Virginia, there's a battle for the Second Amendment going on right now. If you freaks aren't aware, I think it's something that you should be paying attention to. There are local townships throughout Virginia vying to be sanctuary cities and will not institute the laws put in place by the governor and the state government, and they're forming local militia.
It's a different state.
No, this is all Virginia.
Oh, okay.
The video you're referencing was a
sheriff in North Carolina?
Yes.
They was just talking on the topic.
Yes.
But there's actual cities in Virginia that say that they're not going to honor it.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
And the sheriffs are like appointing deputies, like citizen deputies, basically starting small militias.
Oh, wow. I have to, I've been kind of out of it because of all the travel, so
yeah,
that's an interesting.
So be on the lookout for that.
Protect your rights.
Gotta protect your rights. While we're speaking of that, the people at Coin Center, who are in DC, fighting on behalf of Bitcoin and cryptocurrency, is that what they'll have us believe? They are.
Coin Center's great.
Yeah, Coin Center's great. I don't know. They go back and forth.
I think, it doesn't matter. If they get shitcoin funding and they're protecting shitcoins, like it protects Bitcoin with a buffer zone. They're like building a moat. Like part of the reason why.
I just worry that they slip in something that isn't good, and they're seen as the authority on cryptocurrency.
I mean, when they do,
the
then
hill.
then you slay them. But like at this point, this is
good,
and like their privacy coin stuff is good too.
Yeah.
And like if Ethereum is such an easier regulatory target, right? So if they're like protecting Ethereum, it like protects Bitcoin by default. And at worst comes worst, if they fail protecting it, then like Ethereum goes down.
Hey, we're just exploring.
And I think the privacy coin protection shit is good, even though they're heavily funded by
the cash protection.
Zcash is fucking ridiculous.
I was just being devil's advocate here.
Okay. This is a big one.
This is a big one. Well, this is something they've been trying to do for years. They've put this forward a couple years ago or 3 years ago, I believe. The Virtual Currency Fairness Act. Now it's of 2020, since it's the year 2020. Basically, it's attempting to create a sensible de minimis exemption for low-value cryptocurrency transactions in day-to-day use. It's $200. Last time it was $600.
Yeah. So and it didn't get anywhere. Yeah. So it's bipartisan bill, and it's if you make a purchase under $200, it's not a taxable event.
Tax exempt. Yeah. And
I think that's like super important. That's one of the main reasons and everyone ignores it. One of the main reasons merchant adoption, like the whole spend and replace idea, doesn't make sense
from a tax perspective.
Yeah, and not even just paying the tax, like having to like tabulate $2 purchases and stuff.
Yeah. So hopefully this goes through. We'll see. I mean, again, this is like one of the big taboo topics that nobody likes to talk about, like taxes and Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies. And again, it's not taboo because people want to hide from the IRS or the government, which I'm sure there are some that want to. It's taboo because it's like, what the fuck do we do? Like, can you give us some clarity, please?
That was one of the things that pissed me off that Coin Center did, was they were trying to, I think they're currently trying to deal with like proof of stake income. And that's just a complete distraction. But, who am I to tell them? I've given them some donations, but definitely not funding Coin Center. I'm not a major funder of Coin Center, so I'm not going to tell them how to do their shit. They overwhelmingly do good shit.
Yes.
I'm very, very grateful for having them.
I just want it to be clear that there are some Bitcoiners out there who don't like...
There's a lot of Bitcoiners that don't like Coin Center.
Yeah. This piece was written by Niraj. I'm a big fan of Niraj. Love the work that they're doing.
Did you see what he tweeted out today?
No.
He's like, don't rat me out to the @CoinCenter account. I run that one too.
That's funny. Yeah, you're just snitching on him. He's getting all the snitches. Last topic, pretty important topic. Yesterday, Peter Willa officially moved the ball forward on BIP Schnorr, BIP Taproot, and BIP TapScript, basically saying... creating an official PR to say, hey, we should start officially reviewing this seriously. And I think also, I can't say this with complete certainty, but I believe this is the step in which the BIPs will get official numbers.
And
then
the actual numbers.
They get the numbers and it becomes more legitimate and the conversation gets raised a little bit and the prospect of these PRs getting merged increases a little bit. So,
and this is on like the tail end of probably one of the most participated in review processes.
Yeah,
pre-BIP. Right?
Thank God they did the review process. They found something wrong with Beck 32.
It was pretty crazy how many developers were involved in that.
It was like 240, I believe.
Oh, I thought it was even more than that.
Might have been more.
I thought it was like 1,000 or
2,000. The stat you're referencing is last year there were 824 core contributors to the code base, I believe.
Oh. Well, maybe I just got it off by magnitude. That's how bullish I am, guys. I just multiply everything.
Yeah. So this has been actually like 2020. I tweeted it this morning. It's been Bitcoin development has been like a bat out of hell this year. So Matt Corallo.
2020.
Yeah.
It's like the last 17 days.
Yeah, the last 17 days.
Okay,
we have what Peter put on we had what Peter did yesterday, presenting BIP Schnorr, BIP Taproot, BIP TapScript for official numbers. Earlier this week, we had Matt Corallo, or it was late last week after we recorded Rabbit Hole Recap. Matt Corallo came out and posted to the Bitcoin dev mailing list a potential activation path for his consensus cleanup PR that he wants to get merged.
The great cleanup.
Yeah, the great consensus cleanup. There's some contention there. Jeremy Rubin brought up some good points.
Interesting.
For certain things that he wants to get merged in that PR in particular, Matt. But yeah, no, it seems like the ball is getting pushed forward on a lot of things that we've wanted to get implemented into Bitcoin.
Do you think this is like the New Year's resolution effect?
What do you mean? Like we want to be productive?
Like everyone, it's just like how everyone says they're going to go to the gym all the time. It's like both of these things, people have been working on them for a while now, right? And it's like New Year's happens. It's like, okay, time to get the ball rolling. We're going to take the next step.
I think it's coincidence, right? Because the review session just ended at the end of November.
New Year's resolution effect.
Yeah. Hey.
Fine by me.
Fine by me too.
Go to the gym, freaks.
Yeah. So shout out to SIPA, to Peter Woola for moving the ball forward on this. And if you are a developer, a business owner, or a Bitcoin user who will be affected if these things get merged, you should definitely research them, understand how they will affect Bitcoin and affect your Bitcoin experience. And
I met Peter for the first time ever.
At BitDevs?
At BitDevs last week.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
He's so humble.
That was a fucking insane BitDevs.
Talk about being humble. He's a very humble guy.
That was a fucking insane BitDevs.
Yeah.
We're not allowed to talk about BitDevs, so we got to be careful about it.
Yeah, we're not allowed to talk about who was there personally, but I believe people were tweeting about Peter.
That one leaked out, so I didn't feel bad about it, but I'm not going to say anything else. But that BitDevs meetup is
creme de la creme.
Yeah, it's something special.
That 100th Socratic meetup particularly was special.
When I was that was like ultimate. That was like a security risk for Bitcoin in that room.
It really was.
You know what I appreciate about NYU? They have no cameras in the room.
Yeah. Shout out to NYU.
And they don't KYC us when we walk in the door.
No, they don't. Shout out to NYU, who's been hosting BitDevs since they moved out of where were we before this?
It was a co-working space.
Yeah, I forget what it was called. Wherever it was.
The nice thing about that place is you could have beer when you were there.
Yeah. Not so much at NYU. NYU is a academic institution.
But they don't KYC us, and there's no. The other place did light KYC.
Yes.
And there's no cameras. Which
they
nice.
made us give our email address at the last one. I was like, why do you need this? I don't want to come work at your co-working space.
But I saw you did a shout out to your DePaul.
Yeah, DePaul.
Do you have someone in Chicago that's going to host it?
Chris Stewart from Short
right,
Bits.
awesome. Yeah, I met Chris.
Yeah, so Chris was in town.
Yeah, Okay, continue.
And so Chris, for you freaks that don't know, he's the founder of Short Bits, which is working to make Lightning apps for enterprise users. I believe that is their goal and their mission. Chris, incredible Bitcoiner, lives in Chicago now and is running the BitDevs meetup there and is looking for a space where BitDevs can be held consistently in Chicago. And just the experience we've had at NYU here in New York, like some of you freaks may know, I went to DePaul University in Chicago, which is in the heart of the city. So yeah, I got on Twitter to sort of light the fire under the ass of DePaul students and faculty to house BitDevs in Chicago and foster an incredible technology.
I chuckled to myself and then clicked retweet. When I was in San Francisco, I was talking to so many people, like Bitcoiners or whatever, that I met with. I was like, did you go to the San Francisco BitDevs? And they were like, no, I'm like too overwhelmed. Like, I'm not developer. Like, I can't handle it. I was like, motherfucker, you just go and you just sit there and it's just like, you just hope some of it comes in through osmosis. Like,
yeah,
there's only like 5% of the people in that room that understand everything that's being said.
If that.
Yeah.
I think it's like only the people in the front of the room would truly understand everything. But yeah, no, I definitely don't. Like you said, you learn via osmosis. I've learned the most about Bitcoin by going to these.
Just sitting. That's why we have an unfair advantage.
Yeah, it is like. Yeah. And actually, I looked at my notes before I went to 100 Socratic meetup. My first BitDevs was January 12th, 2015.
Insane.
Yeah.
Impressive. That was the one where you fucked up the
clock.
The clock.
Yeah. Peter Todd, forgive me for being an idiot. Yeah, that's all we got. We're coming in on an hour here. We got anything to riff on here?
I have a million things to talk about, but whenever you ask me if I have something to riff on, I don't have something to riff on.
I'm trying to think if I do either. What I talked about on Monday, the macro Fed talk here, we're going to end on that. The Fed, If you guys listened to my episode with Parker Lewis a few weeks ago where we talked about the repo operations, in that episode, basically everything that's come out since September 15th, we've come to find that the liquidity crunch is being, at least the BIS said, the liquidity crunch is being driven by hedge funds that need liquidity for their margin positions. And during that episode of Parker, I was like, so are these hedge funds going straight to the Fed window and getting access to the Fed window directly, or like, is there some mechanism between them? And Parker assured me that there was a primary dealer between the Fed and the hedge funds acting as a buffer. Earlier this week, the Wall Street Journal, Monday morning, came out with what seems to be a exploratory piece to gauge public perception about a change that the Fed could make that would give hedge funds direct access to the window, which would be insane. So the Fed, if they actually cut out the primary dealers,
like cut out the middleman.
Well, they would essentially just make the hedge fund a primary dealer and cut out the middleman. But so the Fed would be the lender of last resort for hedge funds running margin positions in the markets. And the conspiracy theory, it's not really conspiracy anymore, it's turning into conspiracy fact, that the Fed is propping up markets is going to be hard to deny if that is the case, if they do actually execute that tool. So,
but isn't it obvious they're propping up markets? Does it matter if they're propping up markets?
I mean,
is it that just the margin's super risky, so it's more likely that
it's all perception? It's all a con game. And the perception's getting worse by the day, I think.
You just gotta find safety in sats.
Find sanity in sats.
I saw that. I chuckled at that one too.
It's insane. These policies are insane. Bitcoin is sane. It's sanity. Find sanity in sats. Like, you can verify.
But I'm not implying you're crazy.
No, I might be crazy.
If you're telling someone to find sanity.
Yeah.
From the crazy world that we live in.
Yeah, find sanity. The traditional financial system run by the Fed.
I dig it.
Is insane. Find sanity in sats. I guess we'll end it there.
Cheers, freaks. Stay humble, stack sats.
Oh, I thought you were going to miss it. Peace and love.